be Atlanta in their customary pink. The Colorado native who played her college ball at Illinois and now a multiple-time Olympian and medalist. Gold and silver gets us underway. Jordan Poulter back in the lineup and back to causing problems from the service line. Sharp one is good. That's San Giacomo to open.
And that's big time. What I've recognized from San Giacomo is just her high reach contact. She stands at 6'4", but a lot of times for younger pros, they'll try and hit down on the ball. She keeps it nice, high, and deep on the edges of the court.
Tia Jimerson middle puts it into the deep corner. Hoffman, who is key for passing, keeps Salt Lake in rhythm, but it's Atlanta with a transition opportunity, and that is a heater on the right side. Late indication here. Was it in, was it out? Our referees did not give a clear indication. Paulo Coco has called it in. And Yvonne Montano agrees, but our referees have, as of yet, not given an indication. Paulo, we do have challenge flags in this one now. He will not need it. More on the challenge flags as we get going. Brand new to League One volleyball. I'm super excited about this.
I'm just waiting for the first one to be dropped.
Thrown, please. Thrown. Tia Jimerson in her second season here in League One. Again to that deep corner on Ronnie Jones-Perry. Good reset. Right back to Haiti Casanova, and that one is a souvenir on the second swing. Casanova having an excellent year. 258 in her attack percentage. That's higher than last year by a substantial amount.
It's always fun to talk about Haiti Casanova, just one of the heaviest arms you just saw on that last swing.
Ronnie Jones-Perry, one of the most athletic outset hitters you will find. Played her college ball right here inside Smith Fieldhouse. One of a number of BYU connections for this team. Poulter had that one go a little too far. That'll have to be a third contact here. Block for Atlanta. That's their first. They outblocked Salt Lake 10-5 a few nights ago.
And that was the point Paulo Coco mentioned to us leading into this match. He's really happy with the connective piece between their block and defense, feeling like that's maybe one of the biggest areas of growth for Atlanta into the second half of the season.
Jump serve coming. That is trouble. Plenty of runoff room. Free ball opportunity for Atlanta. In transition, right down the middle, and you talked about the versatility of Montano.
And that's exactly right. Not just out of the back row, but utilizing a different seam on that swing. A lot of times you think there's only 3 attack points in the back row. Let me tell you, there are a number, and that time she finds the seam between middle back and right back to approach from.
Now her 12th professional season the opposite, rips another, that one through the cable. Opportunity once again for Atlanta. Another sharp one. Kojima was there this time. This time right side back row. Another good battle will be at the libero position. Backslide is good for Yahalasheva.
And interestingly enough, that was the bread and butter. Well, that would be setting the middle attack. We're 6 points into this, and that was just the first set that had gone to the middle. So I'm a little concerned, Atlanta. They've got to make sure not only clean up that passing, but get the middles involved early and often.
All right, so those are your expectations for Atlanta. What are your expectations on the other side with the lack of Grays? As that ball goes wide right.
There's a lot of pressure put on Jordan Poulter to find, we'll call it the most dangerous woman.
Okay.
Who is going to be the big-time point scorer? And I think what somebody's going to have to step up on the exterior of the court, especially in the outside hitter position. Will it be Hoffman or Ronnie Jones-Perry?
Do you have a favorite right now as to who you think it might be? San Giacomo gets a high contact, as you mentioned, and another kill.
Last time these two teams met, both outsides struggled with their efficiency. So I would say, ooh, it could be a redemption game for both of them. But I feel like Ronnie Jones-Perry, maybe this is her night.
Yeah, she's maybe primed for a breakout. As San Giacomo, who played at Santa Clara, then Northwestern, serves her first one. And that's an ace. Serving game being won by Atlanta early. And this is something to follow. Both teams have excelled this season.
In terms of the aces, Atlanta has struggled from the errors standpoint. So nice to have San Giacomo throw one in the mix.
Yeah, her 4th ace of the season. But just into the starting lineup, just into having a real opportunity. That one's going to go through the block and be a side-out point for Salt Lake City.
I think where you lean on Claire Hoffman in this matchup is maybe not from the offensive numbers. She can provide those, but I think it's more from her serve receive. One of the top 3 passers in the league thus far.
Yeah, 200 receptions, Cameron, just 4 errors.
I love it. Right back to the middle attack with Yahalasheva, and this time on the quick. You talk to middles in this league, and the first thing they'll tell you is it's really hard to get a straight down swing, a clean winner without a block in front. So really utilizing those angles.
8-3 Atlanta built this early advantage. Can't get a hold of that one. Hoffman back-to-back kills. And we were talking about where it might go. Claire Hoffman has had breakout matches at times in her career. She's in her 5th season. Seems like a point at which you really start to have the game slow down and you start to understand it.
Yeah, like that last swing was very calculated. Great vision. She doesn't try to do too much. Finds open floor.
Net violation is going to go against Atlanta there. Mackenzie Adams a little too close to the tape. Adams was exceptional last year in her 12th season now out of UTSA. That's University of Texas San Antonio. Right back to the middle again. No success this time. RJP. Nice high swing. Did she find any hands? She did not.
You saw that last set from Rachel Fairbanks, and she was down on one knee, tried to force the middle a little bit, and talking with her, she said she's been trying to limit some of those riskier sets, even though she knows that's been her bread and butter throughout her career. She was really developed at an early age, playing for T Street where that was celebrated. She said it's a part of her game that she loves, and Dan Fisher, her coach, at Pitt also really enjoyed that ability to risk it, as you see the challenge here looking for the block touch.
Yeah, challenge review and a zoom in. That's a pretty easy and quick call. Tia Jimerson, number 14, is going to pick up the left-handed pinky violation there with the ball. So that will be a point for Salt Lake. Successful challenge, 2 per team per set. If you're correct, you keep them. So at that point, it's almost infinite. Have to really abuse the system to run out as that ball is powered through. Both outside hitters off to a good start for Atlanta.
And that's where Mac Adams is fantastic. When you can get her a ball that is that tempo, nice and quick, first ball side out, that's exactly what you're looking for, the sharp angle cross court.
Had a breakout 2025, played her way into the USA national team gym for the very first time in her career, and that was in year 11. This league's going to be a big part of that. You see that in Brazil all the time as Kojima comes up with a rally-saving dig there. That ball passed too far over. Salt Lake can't take advantage until they do. That ball put through by Ronnie Jones-Perry. We had a challenge a moment ago, and the big change here is we have challenge flags. Now, it's going to look very similar to the NFL. Yes, they are red. Yes, you have to throw them. You can't throw them at anybody. Just to be clear, Palu Coco, even when you're angry, you can't throw it at anybody or at the official, but you must throw it out onto the field of play, near the field of play, so that the challenge has been designated. It has to happen at the end of a play, but before the next serve.
I like the Mike Vrabel reference there as well.
Tori Dixon with a serve. Atlanta in rhythm, and that is a first ball kill from Tia Jimerson. Second best blocker in all of the league last year. And these challenge flags are on the desk. You have to go over and grab them and then throw them.
Test your foot speed first.
Okay. I'd like to see them in pockets, just like we saw with the NFL. In pockets, tucked into the waistband, ready to go. Ready to fire. Adams with the miss there. Atlanta's watched their lead, which was once 8-3, evaporate a bit here to 10-9. First set action, technical timeout coming soon. Casanova with a touch and play. Ronnie Jones-Perry explosive. The tie.
As much as they like Ronnie Jones-Perry's swing, they like the move there from Haiti Casanova. This is pretty wild as there's the ball sent out to Ronnie Jones-Perry, quick to get to the interior, but Haiti Casanova with that extension, bringing that back to their side to get 3 contacts.
You heard the PA there going RJP, the former West Coast Conference Player of the Year, BYU career from 2015 to 2018. She is back home. Salt Lake off balance. Atlanta. A real chance here. Difficult swing, and that one is wide left. Technical timeout will be after this next serve from Salt Lake.
Talk about difficult swings. That's a right-handed attacker on the right side. The angles get a little wonky, especially when that set gets pulled from off the net.
Ronnie Jones-Perry, float serve instead of the jumper. A little more conservative. Chance to score here. Poulter. Casanova. Not quite there. Second time. Yes. Katie Casanova, the one-time Cuban national who defected and has crafted herself a career across the world that is currently in the USA, gets that kill, and we had our technical timeout. Skims is the official loungewear, intimates, and sleepwear partner of League One Volleyball. Back in Provo, it's two teams going opposite directions. Blasting off from the space base is Atlanta. They were 1-5 to start. They've won 5 straight. And Cameron on the other side, Salt Lake. You don't want to be blasting towards the ground. That's the wrong trajectory.
That is not what you want. But Salt Lake, again, having dealt with a multitude of injuries in the last 5 or so matches, it's great to have Jordan Poulter back in the mix. But again, we have yet to see Alexa Gray on the court. And this is where it gets important. This is their last match coming. That was March 1st, just 5 days ago. Atlanta, like I mentioned, 5 players with double-digit kills. That was big time. Also, 25% of the attempts, that's all going to the middle. For Salt Lake, they were not able to run their middle attack as effectively. Only 17.5% of the entire sets were going to the middle. That distribution has got to be higher.
One of the things you have to keep an eye on is the serving, not only the aces, but also the pressure. These are the 2 best serving teams in League One Volleyball. Salt Lake is the best. They have had 68 aces this season coming in. They are plus 29 on their opponents. They've given up just 39 aces. So they have a huge advantage there. Atlanta, 57 aces. They have given up 50. So they're just plus 7, but they are plus already in this match and nearly added to it there. Overhead. They add to the score anyway on the easy transition created by Yvonne Montano's serve.
Magdalena Yahalasheva running that slide. For those new to the game of volleyball, slide means the middle attack, actually attacking from the right side of the court, coming off of 1 foot, specifically that left foot. It's really difficult to block because they could pick that set clean in about 5 or 6 different locations.
1 for 1 for Montano, who has come alive as of late in that opposite position. 8 blocks in the last 8 blocks total in the season, 5 in the last 3 matches for her, as she's become a full-time starter. San Giacomo over the top. San Giacomo, one of those players at 6'4", long levers, but when she gets everything aligned, what happens, Cameron?
She traditionally has been attacking the 5-6 seam beautifully, but I like the off speed and the range she showed early in this first set.
How about power from Hoffman?
So interesting because it was all about the middles going head to head in their last meeting, and so far it really has been about the outsides. Whose outsides are going to point score between Atlanta and Salt Lake. Hoffman has done a nice job thus far.
Claire Hoffman, 3 for 5. Maddie Bug subs in. Out of Apex, North Carolina, had a really nice preseason. In fact, she played the last 4 matches in their entirety. She's in with Skylar Fields in the double sub. So trying to get a little bigger is Salt Lake City, as they were outblocked by Atlanta in this last one. Where do you like your opposite to go? Do you like that middle attack that's become kind of fashionable with the opposites, or do you want to keep her on the right, somewhere in between?
It's dependent on what you have in the front row in front of her, right? So if the middle's running that quick, can we go off of a shoulder? What play are we really starting to run? And the biggest question is all about kind of this layered offensive look, right? Imagine your attackers are like wide receivers. You can bend their routes and maybe put 2 receivers in any given zone to kind of create some disruption. You can do the same thing in the sport of volleyball.
That push is good. Mackenzie Adams with the push over the top, hitting 173 on the year. Errors have kind of plagued her, 31 errors total. That was not her game last year. As Fairbanks goes back to serve, they are at full strength in the front row once again, Atlanta. That'll be an ace.
And Kevin, I don't want to miss this. The double sub on the side of Salt Lake, I was wondering if they would go to this, just considering Poulter's first start again since the beginning of February. Maddie Bug has been running their offense over the last 4 or 5 matches. Now with Skylar Fields in the mix, can we get bigger in the front row? That means 3 attackers you can utilize at any given time.
Fields utilized in the front row. Comes up with a free ball. Will she get it back? Yes, she does. Fields, second time, no. This time to the left. That'll work. Ronnie Jones-Perry's off to a nice start.
And I think this double sub is so important for Salt Lake because we talked about trying to find offense maybe without Alexa Gray or Serena Gray in the mix, and having the double sub allows for 2 right side attackers. There's always one in the front row.
Adams, perfect pass. They go to the middle, another dig from Dixon, the veteran. Fields was over the top, but San Giacomo was right there. And so was the Salt Lake block. One of their big blockers, Sophie Fisher.
Sophie Fisher,
huge.
Yes, for sure. And Fisher coming in clutch right when they need her. Especially 17 apiece. This is where it's going to be all about execution between these 2 teams.
Adams executes to that deep corner.
I like what I've seen from Adams thus far. A lot of times she likes to swing down the line. They're taking that away with their block and saying, hey, you got to beat us and beat our down defenders cross court, either into the 5-6 seam, that deep left back, or the short left front corner of the court in 4.
Yeah, it's transition where Adams' numbers haven't been the same. She's been hitting over 400 in first ball opportunities as they trade first ball opportunities back and forth. Fisher this time.
And
18-18.
And it's interesting too, you just saw Salt Lake go with the off-speed shot. Atlanta was susceptible to that on Sunday. For Salt Lake, it's going to be back to that service pressure, and also it's the serve and pass game. Are they able to maintain control of that first contact to be able to really scheme their offense and use all 3 attackers, as that double sub again has been shifted back with Poulter back in the mix?
Poulter with the dig this time. Pinoy bump set. San Giacomo, another high attack. This one played up. Positive touch for Salt Lake. Is that a positive point? Yes, it is. Right to the sideline by number 33.
You pass perfect, create 3 attacker opportunities. That's where you see seams and blocks, and this is the perfect example. Look at that. Nobody home. There's no way Jimerson can get out there, especially with that gap set in front of her with Sophie Fisher.
So timeout called by Atlanta. They trail by just 1. Paulo Coco wants to talk about it. What's his message here, and how does Atlanta be the team that sprints out to 25?
Well, For instance, Paulo Coco spoke with us specifically about his team feeling like they needed to have a better start to matches, and he feels like they've been fantastic late in sets and late matches because of some of the adjustments that they've made. So this is the critical juncture for Atlanta, taking this timeout and again trying to focus on that service pressure, and can we just get a touch off the block? You don't need a stuff block here, but can we create some transition opportunities as well?
Atlanta with 2 aces in this first set. Nothing for Salt Lake yet. That ball is blocked out deep. And Atlanta back to tie.
Salt Lake is getting more touches on San Giacomo than they were on Sunday with their block. That one just going long.
Poulter and Casanova back on. That tip worked.
And it's right back to it. I love this, understanding that at times you do not need to take a big swing to get a point. Atlanta, yet again, somewhat sitting on their heels. Tough to move forward in that case.
Right side. Montano, a lot of heat. No surprise there. The one-time best attacker on the Columbia national team, as well as picking up MVP honors in Italian A2 just this last season. She goes back to the service line, already contributing aces from there. Chips it. Another quick side out. This time Hoffman, you mentioned they're going to those outsides quite effectively.
And understanding too who's in front of them. The smaller of the 3 blockers right now, Rachel Fairbanks in the right front corner.
Hoffman with 5. Ronnie Jones-Perry with 5. And there's another big block. This time it's Tori Dixon.
And like I said, they're getting awfully close to having the right read on San Giacomo. They had been getting touch after touch after touch. You knew it was just around the corner. There's the perfectly sealed block. The shift over from Tori Dixon.
Sharp, sharp, and sharper until you run out of space. This time via Tori Dixon, a longtime national team veteran and now pro player who continues to teach the next generation. Now her 13th season out of Minnesota. Carly DeHogan. Overhead. Oh, she's blocked the other way. And Dixon looked at Hoffman like she got that one.
From the outside to the right side, Dixon making the right move. Look at how efficient she's moving right here. Clean and simple. Hoffman also really securing that line shot with that left forearm.
Sophie Fisher can be very tough from the line. She puts Atlanta in trouble. Back to the outside. Hoffman, tip, goes again. Cameron Irwin, you need a direct line into the Atlanta players because they are not picking up the tip, and it's going to cost them. It is set point for Salt Lake.
Who will make the adjustment the quickest? And in this case, the adjustment is simply expecting the short ball, keeping your weight more towards the front of your feet, the front of your toes, and your weight stopped on contact to be able to run those tips down.
These teams have split on the season. Salt Lake 3-0, Atlanta 3-1. Looks as though Salt Lake is going to take this set. Already off balance. Fisher with the dig. Casanova puts it through and down. Salt Lake is up 1-0. 25-20. It took them just one set point. Set up in Paris this last summer with a silver. And we're back underway here in the second. Kevin Barnett, Cameron Irwin enjoying Atlanta, trying to get off to a better start, and they will with that one. Remember, they were up early 8-3, only to have Salt Lake tie it at 10, and we went almost even right to about that 20-point mark.
That was a little bit of the let up, right, on the side of Atlanta early. They started as Paulo Coco wanted them to, with a sense of urgency.
We've talked to a few coaches who have lamented that fact. A lack of focus, and you can ill afford that with these rosters here in League One Volleyball. Right side, big swing, too long, but it was through the hands. Touch called.
Yeah, several League One coaches just remarking on the amount of parity across the board, and what a challenge that is night in and night out, having to face certain roster, certain lineups, and also the depth of some lineups, including the 2 that are currently on the floor.
And these coaches, it is a libero versus a setter in their playing days. Carrying that forward. Backslide is dug up by Piana Pinoy and then reblocked again. The block has certainly come alive for Salt Lake. Fisher, again, a part of another successful attempt at the net.
And getting a little help here. You see Ronnie Jones-Perry actually dropping that left hand. She's the one that picks up the block.
Yeah, no half a block for the middle there, right?
No.
Net violation called. All the players looking around like it wasn't them. Somebody must have said something to Tama Miyashiro, because she has not rushed for the challenge flag. Tama, you have pockets. Grab that thing. Have it at the ready. Have it holstered, maybe. That's what they would do in Texas, where Mackenzie Adams is from. Have it holstered. Be quick on the action with it. Oh, Adams got that one quick up above the shoulder and face area.
So for Atlanta, Kevin, when I look at this team starting the second set, what is just so critical is their service pressure. And you actually saw it early, the first 2 contacts on the side of Salt Lake going awry. So clearly a point of conversation.
They're doing their best to get to San Giacomo. Manami Kojima hanging out in that seam angle area. Overhead. Blasted inside and off of Fisher. The one-time SEC Player of the Year, getting a little abuse from the Colombian national team star.
San Giacomo, as much as we talk about her offense, if she got slowed down at the late portion of set 1, her passing is going to be so important. She's being targeted on almost every contact.
Kojima with a perfect pass, cutting that cross court. And saying it was in was Haiti Casanova. Can she convince Tama Miyashiro? 5-2 for the moment. And Tama passes again. RJP pushes the action up to the net. And another tip falls. Cameron Irwin. It's okay. It's okay. Coach Irwin is frustrated.
Well, it's just because the off-speed stuff, I mean, that should be picked up, I'll call it 90% of the time. And it's to me, that last one is a matter of effort, right? Like, no one even hit the floor. Somebody should have made the contact.
Now, fortunately for Atlanta, they're going to call a lift.
They got
on
let off
Salt
the hook.
Lake. Yeah, they are lucky there. You're going to see internationally, they're cracking down on that this year. Kojima, another perfect pass. That is the story for her. Excellence at that position. Fisher fed right back in, quickly available. Sophie Fisher, number 7.
Fisher working through what we call a gap set, so trying to create a little bit more space away from the setter and finding the seam between the middle blocker in front of her and the opposing right front blocker.
Has not played a ton this year, 13 aces already, had 3 versus Atlanta in the last match. Oh my goodness, that is a heater.
Night volleyball. Montano just unleashes from the right side of the court.
Put that on the highlight tape.
She even has a block in front of her and still threads the needle.
Another nice delivery from Jordan Poulter. Pardon me. Rachel Fairbanks captaining that team, of course, from the setter position for Atlanta. That one delivered to San Giacomo on the outside, who again goes into that sharp angle.
If I'm San Giacomo right now, another ball that, of course, is touched off, gets the kill, but you need to keep a clear mindset. Even though they're getting some hands, recognize you're still walking away with a point or 2 here or there. But where's the middle attack of Atlanta, Kevin? Like that to me is really important. Set number 1, you only saw it at about the 10-point mark, and right now they need to use it again.
They've done a good job of targeting. San Giacomo has Salt Lake City, and missed there. They're trading with their opposites, their aggressive opposites at the service line. San Giacomo to the back row. Family owns a winery up in the Napa area, or Sonoma area. Overhead and into the tape and down.
Just a little out of rhythm on the side of Salt Lake through that offensive rally. Haiti Casanova kind of double taking her first step of her approach.
Going deep corner. Hoffman, good pass. She'll get it right back. trying to push it through the hands, and she does just that. More soft stuff, but that's a little bit different compared to tips in the middle, Cam.
Yeah, and I've talked about Hoffman and just her ability to see the block in front of her. So calculated, so technical. She's somebody that wants to see those hands and work against them.
Fairbanks overhead. Montano through the block and down. She's gaining confidence with every swing.
And you can see the want, the desire to run the middle attack from Atlanta, but the pass has simply been somewhat too far off the net. So it's not so much about the setter's choice as they've got to get more in system to utilize their middle.
7 for 12, hitting .417 for Ivan Montano. That went through the block and down. A continued fine performance by Ronnie Jones-Perry, who's most comfortable on a dirt road with a Jeep and a tent. All about the outdoors. Has been a staple for Salt Lake City going back to last year. Jimerson blocked. He wanted to go there. The block was ready. Fisher once again.
Yes, I want them to utilize the middle, but it's so difficult to run the middle from the 10-foot line, not only from a tempo and distance standpoint, but also for the fact that it's more predictable. Like the middle can then peel out and have two options only a half a step away, the middle attacker as well as the outside.
I don't know if you caught that there. The first block of this match was by Atlanta. All 5 subsequent blocks have been Salt Lake, and they're going to add to their total at the net defensively there. With a little joust push win, and Salt Lake again about the same part of the match. Gave up some early points, have come right back. Backslide, Jimerson's success. .12-8 at the technical timeout. Tia Jimerson and Atlanta looking for more. They're going to have to figure out how to finish this set and tie us at 1 apiece.
Manami, if I can't play, you play middle tomorrow.
No, I'm weak broker. Always.
No, you're perfect.
No.
Manami, you can play middle blocker.
Yeah, just this.
You cannot this to the net. Honestly, that's the same as me, so.
No.
Me too,
You were taller.
when I block.
You're taller.
Yeah, but I block like you.
Jordan Poulter, that is not quite legal just yet.
Trying to lift her up, but hey, even if Manami is not picking up the block, her teammates are right now. That's been one of the nice pieces we've seen from Salt Lake now into the second set.
Averaging nearly 4 digs per set. Manami Kojima continues her excellence out there. That is first league-wide. And nearly 70% dig to create. Now explain dig to create for everyone out there. It is when a player makes a dig and that results in an attack, a reasonable attack. So 70% of the time when she digs a ball, Salt Lake is on it.
And another key phrase that you'll often hear associated with that is their transition offense. So your ability to not only dig the ball, but can you keep it in system enough that you're picking up even more kills.
Atlanta's out of system there. Salt Lake's in. And another kill straight down the line. Ronnie Jones-Perry, welcome to 2026.
Kevin, we were watching her warm up. She took one swing at a ball and it took the air out of the building, and it looked just like that one.
We're talking about a woman last year who was amongst the league leaders in total points and swings, and this year has been off of the starting lineup for much of the season. Making a good case for depth, which is required as Salt Lake misses that defensive opportunity, but you feel like the momentum switching towards the home side?
Feels like the first set right now.
Okay.
Almost identical, right? This is kind of that midpoint of the set. Atlanta started to let off the gas, a few errors, maybe a service error creeping in. And I really liked Salt Lake's game plan, right? Changing up some of the tempos, some of the shot selection that you saw, and then that block.
Yeah, service errors, look at that, critical here. Atlanta with 6, Salt Lake with 2, keeping the pressure on. Until that moment, 6-3.
And Atlanta's okay with a handful more service errors. Like we mentioned, 2 of the tougher serving teams. They also have the highest amount of service errors amongst League One teams, but it's kind of that risk it for the biscuit.
Tia Jimerson has almost no service errors. Known for her consistency here. Slightly off balance, Salt Lake. More off balance with the block. San Giacomo.
This is their strongest blocking rotation. You look across the net right now between San Giacomo, Yahalasheva, and of course on the right side, Montano. Those are some big-time blocks. You want a point score right here.
Trying to extend the lead. Jimerson underneath, waiting for that one. Adams converts.
That's a huge play, and not just because you pick up the kill, it's how they picked up the kill, which was with a dig off of a tip shot, something that has fallen. It resulted in the first set win for Salt Lake because they weren't able to convert on that. That time Jimerson sliding up underneath the block. The only reason she's able to do that is because they blocked line. So that's that connective piece between the block and down defender.
Yeah, Paulo Coco talked about that, getting better at that relationship between the two. Now a Salt Lake timeout, 16-11. First time that Atlanta's put this much pressure on SLC.
And again, here's that look. So you got a chance to see San Giacomo. She's 6'4", covering the line. That allows Jimerson to release up the line as a defender and have one thing to dig. That one thing is the tip over the top. These are the type of chest game adjustments that we've talked about at the beginning of this match between, and you can see even here, Paulo Coco having that same conversation. How do I change some of these defensive schemes to be able to pick up that next shot coming my direction?
Paulo Coco, assistant on the Brazilian women's national team since 2003 for Zé Roberto Guimarães, a legend in the game, not only in Brazil but worldwide. They won a Brazil Cup title. He did. Paulo Coco in 2024 before coming to America for the last 2 seasons here. His team in charge for the moment. Jimerson with the ace.
A fantastic serve. Line to line is what we call this. So she's pushed all the way to the sideline. It's the quickest linear serve you can have in the game, and really attacking that right back corner.
6th of the year for Tia. Right back to that same spot, down the line. Better pass this time. Good touch. Yahalasheva got the touch. The turn, did it find hands? No. Salt Lake out of the run. They'll need a little bit more of a run themselves. Dixon alongside Hoffman right there in the front of your screen with Casanova on the right. We go to that matchup. Hoffman and Dixon again getting in front of Montano. The Atlanta block got a hold of it, but it's out of bounds. Point Salt Lake.
A number that I'm currently tracking is Magdalena Yahalasheva, just 4 total attempts on the match. And that again is in part, they are trying to run their offense from the 10-foot line right now.
Well, perfect pass that time, and there's an attack. So the middle doing everything. All you have to do is give her 2 contacts. Magdalena Yahalasheva.
As much as they need to get her, they got to get the pass first. So she says, fine, I'll pass my own. We'll go with the give and go.
Hitting 373 on the season. Montano manages that one. Hoffman, 2 contacts there. Atlanta in transition once again, looking for 19. Got it via the setter. That'll be many over the 3 contacts available.
6 contacts.
Not legal yet.
Rachel Fairbanks becoming her own offensive weapon. Up in the front row, that's the only time the setter can utilize a dump over the height of the net.
Well, she comes in being quite aggressive, hitting .524, had 25 kills coming in, add one there. Long set, through the block and down.
San Giacomo just slightly distanced herself from the net there, so that just kind of trickling in between her body and the net. You want to make sure as a blocker you stay nice and close. You need that reasonable distance. When I was up there, I always liked having my arms out in front and bent almost just at my waist. That gave me that nice kind of cushion between myself and the net.
Backslide. Yehalasheva, no. So they've gotten into the middle a couple times. Do you go right back to her here? Double sub in for Salt Lake now with Bug serving still. Right back to her. Cameron Irwin. Are you a repeat setter?
Always.
Okay.
Yeah, especially after an error like that too. And if it was on me as a setter, I'd be going, okay, I got to get her a clean ball. We need her, especially even if it's not in this second set. We need her in tempo and in rhythm heading into the third.
I'm Kevin Barnett. She is the Pac-12, former Pac-12 standout at Washington State. Cameron Irwin setting for the Cougars. Beatrice Negrete in to serve and play some more defense as they need to get a run here to finish Atlanta. Bug throws it to the outside. And the block is there. Yehalasheva with the stuff. Set the blocking record for the Cougars after your time.
And in the NCAA, just impressive numbers. She is so good at keeping, I can see it even there. She keeps her eyes open, locks onto the attacker, and presses those hands over the net.
Beatrice Negrete again, this time into the net. Yehalasheva, 769 blocks in her collegiate career. A preposterous number. Went to the title, went to the NCAA tournament 5 times as a Cougar. This was a team that was struggling to make the tournament. When you were first recruited there, you were part of building that program, Cameron. Outside, blocked again. Boy, Skylar Fields this time on the action. And Salt Lake is winning at the net defensively.
They are, and you go back to the double sub, right? So Skylar Fields into the mix, Maddie Bug running the offense, but it allows you to also have that big block up in the front row. And the error from Montano out of the back row. Again, they want to try and find her as frequently as possible, and by having her as a threat out of the back row, it makes those blockers think twice and have to track 4 attackers.
Another preemptive timeout from Palo Coco at 21-18. Now Salt Lake on a bit of a run, and they are winning that blocking battle 7-2.
And you can see Palo Coco also kind of just recognizing not only the attack, but also making some of those blocking motions, speaking specifically about Atlanta's block needing to kind of move and adjust accordingly.
Yeah, I think probably talking about the offense as well,
yes.
right? Trying to have it hit around the block.
Those seams.
Who do you like right now? I know they still have a 3-point lead, Atlanta. Who do you like for the set and why?
Great question. And give me 3 seconds until I see who's back out there, what rotation they're in, Kevin.
Well, that double sub has worked for Salt Lake City as of late. Skylar Fields still out there with Maddie Bug.
Okay, so I'll go back to this. So currently you have Montano out of the back row. They just tried to run her on that bick into the seam. So you have a slide attack potentially here from Magda Yehalasheva. And there's that pipe.
All right, Bug at the controls. Right side, Fields. Nice high ball. Ronnie Jones-Perry with confidence through the hands and down.
The reason that ball falls is it's a different tempo, and you could see it too as Ronnie Jones-Perry kind of hitting that ball on her way down. That also means the blockers are falling on contact. It's really tough to pick up a solid block as you're falling to the ground.
LMA Powell comes on for Palo Coco and Atlanta. Also trying to stay big at the net. Dig by Bug, just enough. Powell, DeHogue, left-handed. She pushes. No offensive continuity here for Atlanta. How about this time? Another opportunity. Better run at it. More power, and that'll result in a point.
It is so fun to watch these two teams duke it out with their double subs. Carly DeHogue now into the mix alongside LMA Powell. So again, you're just forcing those blockers to have to constantly think and level up. Who's the attacker? What's the scouting report in front of me on every single swing?
Ninth-year pro DeHogue, there's an ace. Yelasheva with the ace, the winner. Big points the last couple of moments for Atlanta.
Yeah, and they've created havoc with this same line-to-line serve. That was the same ball that Jimerson had success on.
Little stutter step. Oh, caught her foot on that approach. Still life for Salt Lake. Penoy and Negretti next to one another in reception. DeHogue still in there, the one-time Pac-12 star at the University of Washington. She spent last season with Love Austin. Maddie Haynes in to serve. This is her regular role for Salt Lake. Puts Atlanta in trouble. Salt Lake's picking up the tips. But the block's putting it away. DeHogue next to Jimerson. There's that 6-2.
Right back to it. Jimerson, her ability to recognize again, that's just staying on task. The ball is well off the net. You have to then transition. They stayed steady. We're together, well-formed block in front.
That is 6'4" Carly DeHogue in there instead of 6 foot tall Rachel Fairbanks in the front row. And as they unwind, you see Fairbanks coming back in. She will go back to serve. They unwind that double sub. Montano back to the right front. Atlanta set point number 1. Long set to Fields, and that block will finish it. Both teams utilizing defense at the net to be effective. Atlanta, a journey that's taken her to Germany, Puerto Rico, Italy, Turkey, and Japan. She's won 9 titles across the course of her career. As we start set number 3, Kevin Barnett alongside Cameron Irwin. Both teams playing defense in this first rally, and that is a deep attack from Mackenzie Adams.
Oftentimes I'll talk about Mackenzie Adams and her crossbody swing. It's one of the more deceptive. It means that she keeps her shoulders into the angle on just about every single swing. But when she wants to swing down the line, she pulls that arm across her chest and creates a different look.
Salt Lake handles the jump serve, and welcome to the match, Serena Gray, who has subbed in. Her availability was in question coming in. But Gray, who hits .540 on the year, that is by far number 1.
She is simply a rock star in the middle blocking position. You talk about the efficiency, but let's see what she can bring in terms of that passion, that extra little edge that Salt Lake might need in their offense right now.
Yeah, she's been really tough offensively. There's an error for Atlanta. Salt Lake up 2-1.
Talk about their offense too. From set 1, we mentioned that they were hitting .530 as a team. That dropped off significantly, only about 110 in that second set.
All right, so 25-21 direction, 25-20 the other direction. Still Salt Lake winning the overall blocking, but they lost blocking in that second set.
They were blocked 4 times in set 2.
Chance to take advantage here. Got it, Serena Gray. That's what she does best. 3 years at Penn State, then on to Pitt, where she had volleyball and academic honors.
Watch this hang here. Perfect gap set, creating a massive window. Watch when Gray gets up, just those elbows back, and it's so easy to target her. 2
blockers up, didn't matter. But another miss from the service line.
That's a bummer for Serena Gray, one of the toughest servers in the league. See Danny Drews on the sideline as well. Congratulations to her.
Yeah.
Little one, her first little one on the way, recently announced. Baby girl coming.
That one ripped through. Claire Hoffman with another kill. Hoffman from an athletic family, mom a thrower, dad a football player. Said she got a lot of Lombardi quotes growing up. That'll happen. Jump serve down the line. San Giacomo trying to hit her way out. Does just that.
Again, can you be okay with taking big swings and finding kills, tooling the block? San Giacomo, that's how she's point scored this evening.
Hoffman trying to do the same thing.
What a set.
Back row. RJP long.
That back row attack, we call that a pipe or a bick, trying to run that as if it's a front row attack. You saw Poulter on that fantastic set too, throwing that just from off the court on the outer boundary. Her platform putting in perfect position.
Good footwork from Poulter to put that ball up. Tip doesn't go this time, Cameron. The block does for Salt Lake.
And that's a tough time to run the back row attack because the tip was placed in that exact same location. That means a ton of traffic in that area. And San Giacomo trying to just slowly creep her way in there. Pretty quick set. San Giacomo not quite on it.
5-5 continued close action. That has been the story in League One volleyball this season and last. Teams fairly evenly balanced, and I think no opportunity to really get away. There are very few sweeps, although we did see one last night. Madison going down at the hands of Houston. That serve finds the net. We're tied at 6.
Salt Lake needs to be careful from the service line. You don't want to let Atlanta off the hook, especially when you already feel like you have the advantage by keeping their middles at bay.
Good touch there, not enough to slow it down for a play. Rachel Fairbanks involved in that block, now up at the net, number 10 in her second season. Came off a college campaign that had her team #1 for most of that year. Not a national title, but just 2 days in camp before her first match last year. Here she's had much more of a lead-in. What's different, you think, in year 2 at that setting spot?
Wait for this next contact from Mag Adams as Fairbanks continues to run the offense.
Well, the offense doesn't get by Salt Lake there.
And for Fairbanks, actually speaking with her just this past week, she noted that decision making has been really the focus into this second season, working specifically with Paolo Coco, saying she likes to take some of those riskier opportunities to, whether it's set the middle or throw the ball behind her head. But she knows that in order to reach kind of that next level, it's about making the right decisions in the right situations. And so constantly looking not just at the blockers in front, but who's the defenders on the other side? Where should those attacks kind of be placed and moving, and being able to really strategize through the entirety of a game.
Fairbanks back to serve. Another difference too from those early days, she knows everyone's name. Since she was on the floor just a couple of days after arriving, was still learning who everyone was. SLC learning who the blockers were on that play. Montano next to Jimerson, 8-8. Trading blocks here in the start of set number 3. Inside Smith Fieldhouse, one of the great volleyball destinations throughout America. That one, inside out move from Montano is good. This is a new experience, whether you're from Colombia, as Montano is, or you're Kojima from Japan, an opportunity to come to the United States and play and experience America as a full-time resident during a season. This is something that Americans have been doing for a very long time, experiencing other cultures.
Oh, for sure. The tables have definitely been turned for a lot of these international athletes coming and playing here in the United States so often. The opportunity was you finish college ball and immediately you're taking a flight overseas and trying to find which professional team you're going to play for. You'll be there for whether it's 3, 6, or 9-month seasons, and you are completely engulfed and ingrained into not only the community, the culture, but a total different style of volleyball. And all of a sudden, it's been turned on its head, and these internationals are coming to the United States getting a chance to have that exact same experience.
You've had that experience. What are some of the off-court things you deal with as a person, not just a volleyball player, making those adjustments to the culture you're describing?
Yeah, you know, figuring out how to buy a train ticket everywhere you go.
Okay.
If you're in Europe, that was one of the pieces. I mean, of course, there's the language depending on which country you're playing in. So not just with your teammates and some of the language barrier, but also it could be your coach and figuring out a lot of times, like, what are these practice? What is this drill that I'm listening to in a foreign language, and I have no idea where I'm supposed to be able to run the drill, how you win the drill, and you're just having to figure it all out in real time. So you pick up some of the language for sure, but it is one of the most beautiful experiences. And I'm sure it is for these international players coming to the United States, just getting to pick up the culture, but also just such a growth opportunity as a professional athlete.
Something you can't get out of a book. You have to go and experience it firsthand. The tip here goes for Atlanta. They were the victims of the short stuff and soft stuff in the first 2 sets. Here, they put one to the floor softly, and we go to the technical with Atlanta +2. Skims is the official loungewear, intimates, and sleepwear partner of League One Volleyball. Joining you from Smithfield House here on a Thursday evening, Kevin Barnett and Cameron Irwin watching Julia Sangiacomo in her 2nd professional season. First season took her to Poland and Indonesia. Here, she's arrived in Atlanta as of late.
As of late, you can see her numbers. The top of the order is the most recent match versus Salt Lake, hitting 385, 14 points. And before that, even just fewer opportunities, but still hitting for an efficient clip. This evening, it's dropped off just a little bit, but 278 for your outside attacker is still fantastic in terms of trying to create some rhythm out there. She's been blocked 3 times. I've been talking about it throughout this evening. You cannot let that get too far into your head. If you're still point scoring at a significant clip, you got to keep working with it. So 8 kills, 3 times she's been blocked on just 18 attempts.
And 0 hitting error.
And 0, well, the blocks are errors.
Right, but we separate them out.
Okay, yeah. They still count against your efficiency.
Well, absolutely, but the coaches themselves will talk about, hey, I'd rather you get blocked than you just hit the ball out of bounds. At least challenge the block in certain cases. Maybe not low seam, Cam, but in other ways you should challenge the ball.
High seam, which that's her forte, is the high seam.
All right. Forced a roll shot there, smartly done. Can she get a stuff block? No, but she can influence it, and another tip falls. Who should pick up that ball?
It's hard when you got your libero sitting there in the left back corner, but it is also tough. If the block is not closed, then all of a sudden you have to audible as a defender to protect yourself, protect your face from the hard-driven attack. So Peanut Padoy just a second trying to protect herself, as that's another part of the scouting report. Anytime you see one of the middles serving, that means they're going to have to play defense.
Yes.
You can almost guarantee every single contact in that defensive rhythm will be heading to that left back corner, trying to force the middle blockers into some ball control situations.
Yeah, sometimes you need to change the name of middles to Miles because there's no D. Think about it, Cam. That roll shot hits the net, and we are tied at 13. This looking A lot like our first two sets where we're even up at the midpoint.
Magdalena Yahalasheva, I know I keep going back to her, but that's because her numbers are still outstanding. She's 5 of 7. Would love to see them utilize her some more.
Both the jump servers on either side not really able to crank it up. A number of errors from both of them. And there's another one from Casanova. Has played for a long time, a seasoned pro from Cuba, France, Brazil, Romania, Ukraine, China. In her 12th professional season, there's some service trouble. Atlanta looking for a +2. That'll do.
She's been successful now from a serve receive standpoint with the give and go, as well as a transition opportunity, taking that first contact, getting back in system. One of just the most athletic middles that you'll see.
Yeah, she comes in with 25 digs. As a middle blocker, that's a huge value add. That ball is unable to be picked up.
And again, Hoffman just showcasing her ability to change her shot selection and see the block in front. That time just kind of off speed, a little bit of a hawk down the line, but another placement kill for Claire Hoffman.
Ronnie Jones-Perry to the bench. And guess who's in now? Alexa Gray. She'll be right into this match and get the ball. So both Grays have entered the chat. As Salt Lake looks for an advantage here. Kojima underneath it. Keeps the rally going. It'll take a little more. Poulter cannot find it. Kojima from long distance. Montano puts an end to that one. Sit down in your seats, fans. Sit down.
Just remarkable defense right here. The ability to take probably about a 15-foot range, run that down, and then another fantastic effort well outside the length of the court.
That one worked off the block by Gray, and her second attempt was welcome to it. Off the bench, been waiting for 2.5 sets, and here you go.
Yeah, tough position right now for Alexa Gray, trying to get warmed up just bit by bit after you've been sitting for 2 sets. You got to find those ways pretty quick.
She has been the difference maker, hitting 293 coming in for the Salt Lake side, the international star out of Canada, this time with the bump set, no one there to attack. Looking for the angle, can't find it. Mac Adams trying to maybe go into that angle against the defender, Sophie Fisher. Frustration for number 13.
Yeah, that might have been just a hair too tight there for Mac Adams. That was really her only chance to get the ball over the net.
All right, a race to 9, win by 2 here, 16 apiece in set 3. Pivotal set 3, tied at 1 set apiece. Overpass, jammed down. Well, the law firm of Poulter, Gray, and Gray is here on the court.
Throwing the gavel down on that one, Serena Gray. I'm just, again, so impressed. This is what's going to challenge these coaches. Another set of new attackers, new blockers that you're having to face.
Tip. Casanova with the dig. Gray with the put away.
You've had one rhythm coming at you for most of the match, and then all of a sudden, Gray comes in with a little bit of a wrinkle. Here's the pickup. Nice effort from Casanova. Look at how quick that is, running out of system. A beautiful shot from our crew to be able to see just the location and the tempo that's run from Salt Lake.
Timeout called at 18-16. You saw that delivery. Now, this is their first season together in League One. This is their 3rd season together when you're talking about Alexa Gray and Jordan Poulter. They played 2 seasons together in Italy. That familiarity is there. And you see those 2 players right there chatting it up. It's one of the great things we were talking earlier about that overseas lifestyle. Friends across the planet.
And where it really comes into play on the court are some of those out-of-system moments, because one of the biggest connections between setter and attacker is the timing and also location of where you want that set when the pass is pulled off the net. You have to understand, are we still running this on our first step, our second step? Just how quick do we want to do that in certain situations? Oftentimes an attacker will be calling, we'll say, an audible. We want a high ball, or you call it a shoot, whatever your calls might be. But in that case, when teammates have played together for multiple seasons, there is an understanding, there's a knowledge of what they want to run in situations like that.
Jordan Poulter talking about defense and offense as she gets her team ready out of the timeout. That ball driven deep, so they will switch to the offensive side of things and look for a side out. Lots of chatter from Jordan Poulter. Gray, bad pass. Left overhead, and she reaches and punishes that one.
Oh my goodness, what a swing from Gray. Another play out of system, and she makes it look like she had no problem.
Atlanta again out of shape, and they give up another point. And Paulo Coco looks like he's headed for either a timeout or a challenge flag. He hit the button. Instead, he has to throw the flag. So there we go. There's a drop finally. A very subdued drop from Mr. Coco. The first Atlanta challenge issued with a flag in this season. So look at the challengeable items and what you can request. All manner: block touch, net fault, antenna touch, foot fault, last touch, double contact, reaching over the net. Lots of things are available here for you to challenge. And Paulo Coco may have a question about whether that ball was in, out, or touched by the block. And there he is, issuing the challenge officially. He needed a little correction. He hit the button first. You heard the timeout button. I want to see some action on that, Paulo. Let's warm up the right arm. I know you play tennis still on the knee replacements, hip replacements.
Kevin, don't encourage.
Unsuccessfully challenged, and Salt Lake maintains.
Tia Jimerson getting into the mix. Atlanta, again, so successful running the middle attack in their last meeting. In this matchup, that could be the difference maker.
A little bit of work to do here. Mac Adams. That one's in the net again. A little out of rhythm from the service line.
Gray now to the service line for Salt Lake. So different attack in terms of the outside for Salt Lake.
10 aces for her on the season. Not the leader, but close. San Giacomo off the net, trying to go for that sharp angle. The block is there once again. Gray.
And that is high-level execution from one contact to the next. That is where you see, again, the service pressure creating minimized opportunity for offensive attackers. Block shifts, big block.
Both those Grays subbed in, making a difference. Almost had a positive touch there. A little bit of contact between the two middle blockers as they make sure everyone's okay. Jimerson with the kill, and now back to the line. Her team in desperate need of some transition points.
And they have a great position right now. They have three big-time blockers up in the front row. Magda Yahalasheva alongside San Giacomo, as well as Montano. Can they earn one? Good touch.
Yeah, or positive touch. Right side, once again, tip. That one will fall, but it all started with that positive touch, Cameron Irwin. That's what you wanted. And if we had to have a D&D like Stranger Things name for Magda, it would be Magda the Positive. She has 72 positive touches. It's #2 league-wide, creating opportunity for the offense.
So that is what they need more of here in set number 3 to try and narrow this 2-point gap.
Keeping it alive here. Scramble play. Salt Lake. Kojima underneath it. Gray over the top of it. San Giacomo. No. Just coming. Rally of the match so far. Hoffman with a big attack. She got it. Paulo Coco was unsure of the touch. Everyone in the gym had it called. Couple of good saves in this one.
Absolutely stunning. That's off a block touch from Gray, the outstretched arm, and then another. I love this play. pushing that contact nice and high, trying to allow for 3 contacts and a big-time swing.
And the excitement in the gym reigns because here comes Mary Lake. Another BYU alum has entered the match. Her 18th appearance this season. Oh, down the line, Lake. Nobody's getting that one. Inside out and straight down.
Wow.
That's 2 highlight reel swings by number 18.
That is a wicked arm from Montano. That one actually gave me some goosebumps. Going down the line from a right-handed attacker. Watch this approach and how vertical she gets. Full block in front. She says, no problem. Let me just unload and force the defense to try and step up.
Dirty and direct. Double sub in now for Atlanta. They still need a couple.
Big block with DeHogue in the right front.
LMA Powell serves down that line.
Whoa.
And we have some sort of delay right as the serve went. And Paulo Coco doesn't like it at all, as that was a nice serve down the line from his side, from his second setter, LMA Powell.
I thought they were out of rotation, but it is the correct server.
So everything clarified, and the third-year pro out of Washington steps back to serve, wearing that number 7. Mom got her started at 10 years old there in Fayetteville, Arkansas. She would travel to the Pacific Northwest for her collegiate career. Recently engaged. Shout out, Jack.
I like it. She's staying loose right here, spinning the ball on her finger. You just had one serve. Now the opposing team knows where you want to go. Got to stay nice and loose, stay focused here if you're LMA Powell. This is almost as if a timeout has been called with the stoppage of play.
Those are some skills right there, too, going to the ball spin. Solid.
Paulo Coco is not going to wait much longer here.
No, what could have been momentum for his side, as they have to hold Salt Lake here at 23-21. And now maybe Tamamiya Shiro getting in on the discussion. Both teams keep track of the other side's rotations. You see that giant board Tamamiya Shiro, one of the assistant coaches, is rocking. That's an old Pepperdine thing from Marv Dunphy. They have Alex Dunphy on their staff. Look, upper right of your screen, that yellow board. They're keeping track of all the rotations of the other side and the attacks and where they're going, so they can adjust their offense and defense.
Yeah, for sure. And that's where you see some of those matchups being switched over and changed over from set to set.
That's Alex Dunphy just off the hip of the referee, sitting there on the SLC bench. But someone else mans the giant board. Rotations confirmed. This time into the angle with the serve. Nearly had it. Opportunity ATL. Second chance. DeHogue, no. Hoffman, no. 2 hitters in the front, 1 out of the back row. Over the line. Back row violation for Alexa Gray. Point Atlanta.
I love how each team is starting to level up their defense. The scrappiness factor has definitely increased on both sides of the net. And that is a really mentally tough play right there for Atlanta to pick up that point after the stoppage of play. Powell puts in a strong serve and then a couple great defensive plays on each side of the net.
So for just the second time in this match, Salt Lake forced to call a timeout. Bruno Chateau right there, the second-year assistant coach under Tamamiya Shiro in the light-colored Adidas polo, giving instructions to the team. Tama in the middle. Alex Dunphy stepping in, whole staff at work.
You have Sophie Fisher right now in the front row for Jordan Poulter, as well as Haiti Casanova. They've tried to go to Gray, Alexa Gray, out of the back row, and Hoffman is currently your outside attacker. So the question remains, 1, if we're in system, do I run Sophie Fisher? That's my first objective. Second is I might run the overload with Gray out of the back row.
Fisher hitting just 121 on the season. They'll go to the right side. Casanova dug up by Powell. San Giacomo looking for hands. Got it. A veteran swing from the young pro.
It's almost as if she simply aims for hands. 23 apiece in a ever important set, tied up at 1 apiece right now. This one can set the tone for number 4.
Yeah, third sets are pivotal. Pin up Pinoy with the dig. DeHogue off balance, manages. Big approach. Both sides. Back to San Giacomo. This time the soft one goes. Some power, some poise, and another point. And now a set point for Atlanta.
And the reason I say that you want to try and find the middle as good of a blocker as Magdalena Yahalasheva is you currently have 2 6'4" blockers on the pins for Atlanta.
Looking for more transition. Double sub doing work. Dig again. Pinoy. Outside. For the set. Got it! 3 in a row. What a moment for Julia San Giacomo. Huge.
An awesome effort from Atlanta to secure set number 3. San Giacomo continues to level up her play match after match. Currently, Atlanta leading.
To join his university.
For Atlanta to pick up that third set is just so important, especially considering the fact that you have Alexa Gray and Serena Gray both in the mix now for Salt Lake. I think the more they start to warm up as the first strike comes for Serena Gray, this could start to turn into a different looking match for sure in terms of some more offense on the side of Salt Lake. They may have just given themselves enough of a buffer to pick up this match win.
Jordan Poulter and Cameron Irwin, 2 setters on the same page right there to start this 4th set. Go to Serena Gray. Alexa Gray is in the back row in that service spot. We'll see if they go there. She has the dig. Hoffman stays conservative. Offense in rhythm here. There, Gray out of the back row. 2 for 2, Gray and Gray.
And the more in system, the more in rhythm these two get, the more dangerous they will become for the Salt Lake offense. Here's the gap set and the BIC. That's a great view of just 4 attackers being great options. Whoa!
Kojima steps in and gets overpowered. That's the right spot though.
We talk about what separates Kojima as a defender, and it's her ability to move her feet so quickly and then instantaneously stop. But it's also the read. Watch this. She sees the hole. She immediately fills it.
Fearless.
Fearless is the exact word.
Difficult pass here. Hoffman. Better swing, but this time into the 3-woman block. San Giacomo there once again.
We saw the triple block late in set 3. It was the first time we really saw it from Atlanta in some of those out-of-system situations. So that might be the next evolution here in set 4.
San Giacomo grew up hearing stories from her grandfather, to whom she was very close, about Santa Clara and his experience as a college student there. Said she just felt like it was home, choosing that university. Right side, Salt Lake City. Finding the touch, the kill, the turn. Another point for number 33, Haiti Casanova. Last year hit 207, this year hitting almost 260 on the year. Jimerson, nice delivery from Fairbanks.
Atlanta wants more of that. A fantastic pass, something that has been somewhat missing through their offense. Even though they are up 2-1, their passing could increase by just a bit.
Salt Lake in this set, trying to stay in it. At their home away from home, they'll be under on that one. It'll be another point for Atlanta. Atlanta up 2-1. Paulo Coco, his team won the point. It does not look like it from his demeanor as he calls the service for his side. What do you think about coaches being so close to the playing surface, Cameron?
Well,
oh, how about so close to a block? Yahalasheva with a huge stuff.
the one-on-one, those are the type of blocks you savor as a middle. Watch this, steps in front. This is called fronting the middle. So she is squaring directly in front of Sophie Fisher and then deciding to block out certain angles with the use of her shoulders, arms, and hands.
Yeah, pretty nice front row currently for Atlanta in terms of block. Montano, San Giacomo, and Yahalasheva. Transition good. Montano starting to turn inside out a couple of times.
Yeah, another solid look. You talk about inside out. That means that she's going up and actually turning her hand, her wrist away from her body, creating some different spin and a different trajectory towards the ball. But you talk about Paulo Coco. It's almost as if he's the 6th man on the floor, 7th man on the floor for Atlanta. 15
kills on 30 attempts for Montano. She's starting to put a stamp on that position for herself. That ball's too tight. Hoffman finds a solution. Tell you what, for the 3rd time in 4 sets, Atlanta has built this little lead early. Each time in the last 3, we've ended up tied right around that 10 to 13 point mark. And that one will go well long. No judgment needed for Atlanta.
You see Paulo Coco again, just kind of tracing the sideline, tracking it. I spoke with Magdalena Yahalasheva about her coach, and she said the passion and the intensity is similar to that of her Czechia national team coach, who's also Greek, and said that she loves it, that you're hyper invested and the expectations are so high and that you can bring that added edge, that added energy to your team.
Yeah, a lot of players have spoken about playing for Paulo Coco and how much they enjoy it. He has a very consistent rhythm when he talks through a practice, something totally unique. San Giacomo down the line. She's found some range over there throughout this match. It was all angle early.
Salt Lake is simply in trouble right now because their service pressure is not enough. From the first contact to any transition opportunity right now, Atlanta is completely in system.
Gray, pass swing. Can't terminate there. Off the block, out of bounds.
There's different timing for blockers when you're blocking a front row attacker versus a back row attacker. That's because of the distance from the net the attacker is taking a swing. So you have to delay just a hair longer, and sometimes you just get a little overzealous.
That ball's hit wide left.
It was a better serve. It was a longer set.
I thought that was a pretty nice pass actually by San Giacomo down her right side along that right line to scoop it back a little bit. They've been targeting her. Fisher here, I expect will go down the line again. Trying to, finds the net instead. 9-7. Service errors 12 apiece, but Atlanta's been getting a little more return.
Without question, Salt Lake still unable to find a service ace in this match.
Yeah, you're talking about a team that has 68 aces, by far the #1 serving team in the entire league. Next is Atlanta with 57.
Last time they've gone a match without an ace was just the 2nd game of the season.
Well, they don't want that to continue. It's one way to turn things around quickly is to start putting more service pressure on your opponent, but Atlanta on the other side is getting the opportunity to do what you want them to, Cam.
It's not just about serving aces. When we talk about service pressure, it's about space. It's about serving the right location, the right player.
Yeah, the opponent in system number has become a good one. If you're serving well, you're keeping your opponent in system just 20% of the time, something between 20 and 30%, as that ball is off the block and out of bounds, point Atlanta. If you're not doing a good job, your opponent is in system, say 60% of the time.
And some of the best servers in that phase of the game are on Salt Lake's roster.
Yeah. Challenge by Salt Lake here. Tamamiya Shiro using one of her challenges in this 4th set. Remember, if you are right, you will keep them. So the coaches are learning here with the flag, and actually they're going to pass the flag to the staff. So there, now the staff has put it on the floor. Officially a challenge. They're learning. This is why I think the coach should carry it. give it to the coach. They don't have to go anywhere. They don't have to think about it. They pull it out of their pocket or their waistband, throw it down. That's what the coaches do in the NFL. And the reason is because the coaches in the NFL are up and down the sidelines all over the place. And we've talked about the coaches here. They are on the sidelines. This is a layer of friction. We'll get it figured out. I love the challenge flags are here. There. Good job, Alex Dunphy.
The quick toss.
Yeah, maybe give it to an assistant. Looking for a net fault here. Cameron, what do you see? You're in the replay booth.
Yeah, it's right now it's a little challenging because you see the net move, but a lot of that just has to do with the error and the friction, right, of so many bodies around it, so you can't pay attention to that. But again, looking for net violation. Haven't quite seen it. I don't see one. Maybe at the bottom. They're looking now at the lower tape.
Yeah, lots of angles for our officials to zoom in. You're in the replay booth at home.
Sometimes athletes will come down on their and kind of grab it with their elbow as they're falling back, or maybe even as they turn.
But then it is already moving when that action to block occurs. To look back at the earlier part of the rally, perhaps the ball went through the net moments before that block. Right now, as scored, Atlanta 11-8, and we're approaching the technical timeout. Salt Lake City challenge is our longest challenge of this game, where we saw the first set go to Salt Lake 25-20 with a late push from Salt Lake. Atlanta would be the one scoring late and hanging on to their lead 25-20 in the second, and then the thriller with Julia San Giacomo 25-23 scoring the last 3 points. So that one is deemed inconclusive. Salt Lake will lose that challenge, and they have one remaining for this fourth set, in which they are trying to stay alive. Down 2-1. Full strength in the front row as a setter, Rachel Fairbanks, serves for Atlanta.
Unique rotation. Haiti Casanova has to track all the way across the court. Unbelievable set to Serena Gray in the middle. Poulter falling to her knees, throws that ball behind her head, and you can see why she's a two-time Olympic medalist, being able to dish in unconventional situations.
Serena Gray hit 500, having entered this match late. Both Grays coming on late. Alexa to serve. A service to the back coffin corner.
I was gonna say corner pocket. What I like about this serve, it's high and deep at the chest, one of the toughest to have to receive.
There goes that goose egg.
Correct.
Service aces for Salt Lake. Alexa Gray taking it off the table. She's hitting 400 with 5 kills and did not start the match. Now it's an overcall as Fairbanks, you remember, is in the back row. Back-to-back scores for Salt Lake, and again we find ourselves even up as we approach the technical timeout.
Laser focused on this serve.
Gray back to the line. Ball tight. Jimerson finds it, and that'll be a side out for Atlanta. So they stop a little mini run just in time to go to the technical timeout. Atlanta is looking for the victory. Salt Lake is trying to force a 5th set. We'll be back to Provo in moments.
until
Technical timeout here in Provo, Utah. Atlanta up 2-1 and 12-11. Gives us a chance to revisit our Chase scouting report. How are the teams doing here, Cam?
for Atlanta, the dime passing, that means perfect passing. This set, they have been stronger in that part of their game. Utilizing multiple attackers, I'll give them an A-. For Salt Lake, the service pressure just hasn't been high enough. Again, we talked about just having one of their first and then their second ace of the match. Top tier execution, that comes in every part of their game. At this moment, I'm giving a B+, or B-, excuse me.
Professor Irwin not helping her rate my professor ratings there
no.
in Provo, Utah. She's
Shoot.
rating tough in this one on this beautiful college campus here in a picturesque town. Put it on your bucket list to go and spend some time in Provo, really any time of year. Nearby Sundance ski area is a lot of fun, and have a kolache while you're there. It's like a highbrow hot pocket. So good. Salt Lake out of sync. Atlanta looking for one. Not yet. Nice dig by Gray. That's some D in middles. Oh, right back. Jimerson, sharp crack.
Jimerson able to utilize a swing to the left back corner. We have seen her oftentimes being able to utilize the cutback. This is all about the angle from middle to middle.
A little bit to the right side. Casanova, chip winner. Yeah, Lasova patting her chest saying, my fault. What did she not like about that play as a blocker?
I think Haiti Casanova, for her scouting report, is at times she can have a tendency to hit on her way down. So as a blocker, you almost need to have a slight hesitation when facing off against her.
You see Maddie Bug come in to serve, and that's going to be another ace. Bug this time doing the damage. The double sub on. Skylar Fields yet to pick up a kill in the double sub role, but has been big at the net defensively. They have scored in this rotation here. Bug back to the line once again. Now 2 aces for the home side. Antonio, they're on the inside out this time. Claire Hoffman in the position.
It all starts from the service line. You saw the ace and then also creating opportunities.
15-13. Salt Lake with the advantage. Here with the third, dug this time by Kojima. Gray with the kill out of the back row. Is it timeout time for the women in pink?
Rhythm from one side of the net to the other. You saw at the technical timeout, a shift has now occurred on the side of Salt Lake, finding their offense, their defense, and most importantly, that service pressure.
The answer is yes, timeout Atlanta. So this is how it has happened. First, some service pressure with the 6-2 coming on. Skylar Fields in the front row. Maddie Bug serving.
Maddie Bug serving. It was also Alexa Gray serving that helped in terms of coming out of that technical timeout. And then I love the Bick being able to use that back row attack even in some tough situations through transition offense.
How much do the last 5 matches matter for Maddie Bug? She's been the starter for 4 of those.
They're hypercritical, especially considering that you want to utilize this double sub. So getting her even more time on the court alongside her teammates gives you that much more confidence to say, hey, this is a piece to our offense and defense that can totally change the game.
Maddie Bug married to Matt West, fellow setter professionally, original Pepperdine star. They got married in Greece, Labor Day 25, and here a little honeymoon time for Salt Lake City as they are getting up big in the fourth. They try to stay alive. Fields again at the net.
They heard my B- and said, all right, Cameron. Here's the service pressure.
Came to office hours to appeal your grade.
We'll retest here.
Another block touch. And then an error. 18-13. Do you burn both timeouts here if you're Paulo Coco? Already burned one. At 16-13, you've given up 2 more. 1 timeout, sorry. Cameron Irwin, good catch. Too many different forms of volleyball. The 1 timeout in love actually is critical Love that. I actually love that you can't stop it. The players are going to be asked to figure this one out on the Atlanta side.
Block after block after block. Can I serve to a specific location that frees up my blockers' minds to be able to shift to certain attackers? That's what you're seeing on full display right now as Atlanta starts to make some of their own adjustments.
Yeah, 13-8, the blocking story as LMA Powell enters the match. Double sub on the floor, along with Miroslava Paskova. All the changes happening here. That ball is hit out of bounds, and the referees have called for their own challenge. Officials review here. I do like that feature as well here in League One Volleyball. Could have come into play collegiately this last season during the playoffs, as teams were out of challenges and there were some opportunities and some controversial calls. Looking for a block touch. Cam, professor and referee today.
I don't see the hand move. Oh, there it is on the left hand, 100%. Just moving over that viewpoint. Absolutely a touch off of the hand of Yahalasheva.
Good job with your magnifying glass.
Yes. It's magnified on the wrong hand to start.
So in comes LOVB. One of those middle options that Atlanta has. She has come onto the scene after not playing much last year. Been effective this season. All the extras are on. That ball is long, and it's looking increasingly like we are going to a fifth set. Maximum Volleyball Entertainment in Provo.
What Atlanta was doing so well at the beginning of set 4 has now gone out the window, and that's their serve receive.
Paskova finally gets him out there. The veteran now in her 12th season. Picking up some time at the end of this set. That was a crack from Hoffman. Comes right back to her. Load up again. Fisher, nice coverage. Right side, Fields. Looking for her first. She'll have to continue waiting. Reset, no good. Blocked by DeHoe.
Atlanta's success in the last several matches has come by making shifts not only in their strategy but their lineup, and it's come in the middle, the right side position. LOVB, could she be the difference maker? At one point they were down 11-18 and came back in a set last week.
Anything's possible. Skylar Fields puts her first kill on the board, and it's a big one to get to 22.
Just too much offense right now for Salt Lake, now on a 10-2 run. Whether it's from Gray out of the back row, front middle court with Serena Gray, or Fields on the right side. Fisher now in that position in middle.
A service, so the service game has come alive here in set 4 for Salt Lake from a variety of players. Hoffman this time drops one off the table.
And you can see just how important it is, not just from a point scoring perspective, but from a momentum perspective.
So as your thoughts start to turn to a fifth set, what do you want to see from Atlanta to get back on track, say in the first 5 points of that set?
Clean first contact and middle execution.
Very good. We'll look for that in moments. Assuming that Salt Lake can finish, they are 1 point away from that. Set point. Gray and Gray, difference makers here in the fourth for the women in yellow. Crowd excited for the end of this one for the team. And Maximum Volleyball in the fifth. That ball is just long. Second opportunity upcoming.
Skylar Fields currently in the right front corner for Salt Lake. And Gray on the outside. Maddie Bug, two fantastic weapons on the pin.
Overhead. Powell with the dig. DeHoog is blocked. Gray and Gray finish it off. And by the celebration, number 9 picked up the stuff, and we're going to play 5.
The team's service pressure.
Yeah, Cameron, I know you hate the answer of when you ask a coach what will be the difference in this match. They always say serve and pass every single time. Here are some numbers for you to chart as Gray gets the first swing of this 5th set for Salt Lake. Let's see if they go right back to her here. Both Grays in the front row. Alexa gets both. The second one is a kill. Now aces in the last 2 sets. Atlanta with 0. Salt Lake with 3. All of those coming in the 4th set. Atlanta had and has 4 aces. That was in the first 2 sets. So the service game certainly favoring Salt Lake as of late. Good controlled touch there. All options on the table. Go to the opposite score again, 2-0 Salt Lake City.
You know, we always joke about talking serve and pass, but it is the most important part of volleyball. You can't run an offense without it.
It is what teams spend their time doing in the morning before a match, is serve and pass. No one does other things. You might hit a couple, but you're serving and passing. As Gray redirects, and it's 3-0.
But even that's because of fantastic service pressure, creating the free ball, the overpass.
Salt Lake undefeated in 5th sets as the challenge flag has been cast once again. Paulo Coco. Now maybe not wanting to burn his timeout, but having some challenges to burn here. He's going to look for a net violation, I believe, from the indication from our referees, looking for a net fault, and I believe he's looking for a little timeout is what he's looking for.
I don't see any sort of touch here.
They can rewind it and take a look at it, and maybe just observe how high Serena Gray is up in the air. Marvel at that. Three 0. Poulter at the line. 1 challenge remaining for Atlanta. Will that factor? That ball's out of bounds, 4-0. Remember, just that single timeout. Players have to sort it.
San Giacomo targeted down the left sideline.
And Paulo Coco sensing that perhaps this one will get completely out of hand from the very start. He does take a timeout at 4-0 and implores his team to relax.
When your passers are struggling, I think one of the important conversations you need to have is to release the pressure valve as a setter and as attackers, saying, hey, high, middle of the court, maybe if you can get me up to that 10-foot line, fantastic. It's tough because you want to be able to be in system. However, getting a strong swing is better than no swing at all, which is what took place on that last rally.
So you'll take a strong swing of any kind here.
And also what's so fun about League One volleyball right now is the fact that you can start to move and shift your serve receive, not on contact of serve, but on toss of serve. So you can also start to pinch and move just like they did there.
And they do in fact get out of the timeout, a side out.
So you can move some of those serve receivers to create some different looks for the server to go against.
Yeah, Halasova with the side out, and she will serve. Stepping back, 8 aces coming in. That is value add from a middle blocker. Little step in there. Kojima, perfect. And that is how you draw up a side out.
What a beautiful high difficulty play. This pass, watch her platform stay on. She even falls backwards to make sure that angle is locked on target. Able to run the middle with a set coming over the shoulder. Whew, that's tough stuff.
Jordan Poulter with another high-level match here. Multiple good deliveries. Kojima underneath that one, still live. Pinoy outstretched, and Serena Gray outstretched. One-on-one, those are your favorites.
Quite literally taking up airspace on the side of Atlanta. Serena Gray just hangs those hands over the height of the net.
A match ago, Atlanta won. It was 10-5 in blocks. You saw the blocks there now. 15 for Salt Lake City. Another touch. More frustration for the Atlanta attackers. This time defense. That throw is good.
Kevin, I don't know if you could hear it, but I think all of Provo could. Tia Jimerson just screaming so loud for that transition opportunity. She wants to be the difference maker right now. She's saying, give me the ball. I'm going to point score for you.
Poulter can't quite get to that one, 6-3. And now you start to feel a little better. If you're wearing the pink and blue of Atlanta.
You're still in dangerous territory, though.
Montano, how conservative or aggressive will she be? Little short step jumper. Block doing some work. Defense to offense. To a point for the ATL.
Atlanta can ride the high of their transition. If they're not able to side out or find those first ball opportunities, transition is where they can be solid.
3-0 run. Another step jumper. Gray dug by Pinoy. Pinoy can't handle that one. Hoffman deep corner winner.
Hoffman has been so calculated again, that time finding the block and front, turning the ball just over the edge of it.
Gray out, Maddie Haynes in, 1 ace on the season. Saw her earlier in the match. Can she come up with some magic? Good pass for Atlanta. Back row attack, that was a heater once again from Montano.
This is when your best is required, and Montano just unleashes another. She really doesn't have an off speed. She likes to hit the ball, goes back to the bread and butter, and I love it. Those are the kind of attackers I know you like, Kevin.
Oh, yeah. Cave woman volleyball. Just hit it harder. Beatrice Negrete into serving that DS role, adding some defensive support for Atlanta. Doesn't matter, it's done at the net by Jimerson. A wag of the finger, and they're back within one.
I said it a few points ago, she wants to be the difference maker. Screaming for the transition opportunity, this time closing down the block with the finger wag.
For the tie. Salt Lake way off balance. Where do you go? Backslide Jimerson. Got it again.
Keep going there until it doesn't work. Tia Jimerson is creating a fire on the side of Atlanta. Salt Lake, it's been all about the service pressure, but right now they've got to find some of their own passing.
Take note, if you're a fan of NCAA volleyball right now, it is 7-7 in a fifth set. A rematch. Teams fighting for position in the top 4 standings. And there are no timeouts remaining. The players will have to decide.
It's been an awesome crowd too.
Yeah, the fans will cheer them on. 6-1 run from Atlanta. 8 points, win by 2.
So for Salt Lake coming out right now with the run against them, they have the opportunity to have Gray out of the back row. You have Fields in the right front. Last time they were in a position like this, they went to Fields not just on the first swing, but on consecutive swings. Gray is also another great option.
Negrete. Poulter had all the options. Went to Hoffman, and that's a winner.
Just when you think you know where it's going, she goes the opposite direction. Another nice set from Jordan Poulter as the double sub comes into effect for Salt Lake. You asked me about Maddie Bug having played those last 5 matches. This is where it is so important, the confidence to say, yes, get back out there and close this thing out.
14 kills for Hoffman. Did Jimerson get a touch? She did not. It is now Salt Lake 9-7. Atlanta with some question marks after that big run. Right back to the middle once again. Jimerson with a little bit of tude going through the net. A kill and a look.
And then she corrects that last swing. And so right back to Tia Jimerson. And now the issue for Atlanta, she's in the back row. So can you continue to find offense between Adams and Yahalasheva?
Good touch. Negretti with the dig. Montano inside out. Read by the defense. Extending the rally is Gray. Back to the opposite. Yes. Missed contact. Bug. Both teams missed opportunities. Finally taken by Mackenzie Adams, 9-9.
Atlanta trying to use a spread offense here from pin to pin. You saw 2 back row attacks out of the right back corner, and then finally the ball to the outside to Adams.
We're trying to point score with the opposite, right? See if they do it again. Can they generate another soft touch? No, off the block, out of bounds, Skylar Fields. Nice trust by Maddie Bug there with Skylar on the right.
Skylar likes to go, down the line, especially when she gets into that back row attacking phase. Still in the front row, but she could be the target here for Salt Lake.
Had some explosive matches last season, did Skylar Fields. Can definitely be a factor here late. Opposites doing battle. Mac Adams couldn't quite get that one to go. You're going to have a chance here to run the offense. Fairbanks. Winner to Adams.
Atlanta creating chaos. They were out of sorts, tipped the ball over the top, and forced the setter, Maddie Bug, to take the first contact, creating a free ball opportunity.
Maddie Bug, who played last year for Atlanta. Still at the controls. She'll look outside to Gray, and that is a high attack to the corner.
Good news for Salt Lake. Several rotations still remain with Alexa Gray up in the front row.
Will they look to her every time for point scoring? Should they?
I would definitely start there. But
All
you
right.
also have Serena Gray, so the overload would be a great opportunity here.
All right, setter Irwin's going to go to one of the Grays. Here's Alexa. Not quite. Adams. Similar result. No chance there. Hoffman can't cover Gray, and it's the block of Atlanta that picks up the point. We continue to be tied. Some late French fries here in the evening on a Thursday.
For Atlanta right now, I think a play that would be in their favor as you see the block back there and maybe a little bit of movement at the net would be a gap, go, and set behind. You've got Montano, but can you force Serena Gray away from Montano by a step?
How about get a touch by Magda the Great? And then the transition kill. Yahalasheva with both ends of that play.
On that gap set, right? Now this is the best part for Atlanta. Can they then pair that nicely, whether it's going back to Magda Yahalasheva on the offense or throw that ball behind, because by running that gap set, you force the opposing middle to take one step that direction. Right now, though, they need defense.
Jump serve again from Adams. Trying to keep it in, goes long. A race to 3, win by 2. If you're Atlanta, where do you go offensively? Right side.
And that's the play right there. You saw Magda into that exterior of the middle zone, throw the ball behind, and create just enough hesitancy required for a seam.
Pivotal moment. Neither side with a timeout.
Salt Lake could run the overload here. Both Grays in the front row. And there it is.
They do that, and it works. Cameron Irwin getting the coaching.
So the overload, running the middle attack with a fastball to the pin. So that means the right front blocker and middle front blocker have 2 attackers coming into their zones, and it just overloads your brain.
Scoring rotation for Salt Lake. Perfect pass. Good block position, doesn't matter. Atlanta will have a match point. Montano, she's been doing that little short step jumper the last couple of times, keeping points available in transition for the match. Poulter setting for Salt Lake. Goes to Gray. No swing to be had. Salt Lake gets one in return. And we will play some extra time.
Talk about tough plays. Another tough play on the side of Salt Lake. When that ball is short in the right front corner, that is just misery for a setter to have to take over the top and find the middle attack. Perfect execution.
Atlanta trying to maintain that advantage. Down the line goes San Giacomo. Another big swing from the starter, number 22, Paolo Coco, showing faith in his whole roster, putting her in the starting position. Match point again. San Giacomo to serve. Hoffman, Pinoy with the dig. Adams, hot lately, cold on that one.
There was almost too much time to think about that set and the swing because the dig was so high off the ground. You're sitting there just anticipating, waiting for that ball to fall back down and be forced back, as there is an official review here. Looking for a block touch.
Looking for a touch and not finding it by the smallest of margins. Tamamiya Shiro looks like she's having fun in this stressful moment.
2 attacker rotation right now for Atlanta. Ooh.
Yeah, and 2 attacker rotation now for Salt Lake as they face their 3rd match ball. 2 in the front row. LMA Powell still in the front row. Hoffman got the hands.
The fans didn't know if they should celebrate yet or not.
Just keep going. Just keep going.
Gray back in the front row. This is what Salt Lake wants.
Gray, Fisher, Poulter across the front. Trying to get to their own advantage. Back row, Montano with some world-class heat.
A superb swing out of the back row. Run the slide, have the shoot to the outside, and of course make the middle think about that back row attack. Montano once more.
4th match ball. Dig, transition, kill, and that'll do it. Atlanta victorious in 5. Ella Mae Powell with some exceptional setting down the stretch. Julia San Giacomo saved the day more than once in this one.
You have to go to Yvonne Montano, though. 22 kills on 47. She walked away with 24 points, just 2 away from her season best at 26. I mean, she is currently just stacking performances.
2 blocks, 5 digs added in to that exceptional offensive performance, and boy, she got better as the match wore on.
I think she point scored better out of the back row than the front row as the match continued.
A highlight tape worthy performance from Yvonne Montano.